I was just thinking of a sort of a checklist of things that you should do to keep the website ticking along quite happily, and as you'll see, I don't do any of them. So the first thing to do is, sometimes you can get spammy comments. There is a plugin I can actually add, which I obviously haven't added to my own site, that stops these coming through. But what you can also do is add another plugin that deletes them all. So make sure that when you do go into your site, just do a bit of housekeeping and delete any pesky comments that are not pertinent. The second thing you need to do is make sure that all your plugins are up to date. So a plugin is something that adds extra functionality to your website. So for instance, this is a Flippy book that I put on. And oftentimes the reason that there'll be an update is because they may have found a vulnerability in there. So it's very important that when you go onto your site, you literally just whiz through and update them. Some of them are paid for and they don't actually come with the theme. So some of the, if it says something like this, you do need to buy a license. Another thing to do is to check the site for broken links. So if you literally Google broken link checker, it says dead link checker, and this is a free one. So I've put my domain name in, and it's taking ages, but it's going through and it's checking anything that's not quite kosher. So it just means that I can go through and then figure out what the problem is and fix it. Another thing that a lot of people have a problem with is images. I always say to my clients, don't load any images that are larger than 1900 pixels because it will really slow the site down. Now, even though we use a really good server, most of you that use Jonathan's hosting, it still has a big effect on the speed of the site. But if you do use one that's if you do load images and they're a bit big, you can add this Smush plugin, and it says bulk smush. Doing this thing now, and you'll see how many images it's smushed and how much space you've saved. The other thing you can do is check the speed of the site. So this is a tool, another free tool, and it just checks to see how fast it is. I daren't think, because I haven't looked at my site for so long, as you've probably ascertained, but it just means that it gives you an idea of if it's fast. Things that slow down the site is having too many plugins. So even though plugins are a good thing, you don't want to get carried away and have lots and lots of them, because the thing is that different people make the code for the plugins. So sometimes that can have an effect. I mean, obviously you do need plugins, but when you go through the site, you can always check if there's anything you think, well, I don't use that anymore, and you can delete it. So that's another bit of housekeeping that you can do. Okay, so another thing to do, it's very important, is to check your contact forms. When people use Microsoft 365 and Google, the servers can sometimes consider the contact form spam because the email address isn't on the same server. So it's very, very important that you check that the contact form is working. So I always make sure that the contact forms that I use do actually save the content. And my final tip on this video is just to make sure that you keep your site updated. Google really like fresh content, so it's really important that you do keep the site content updated. So I've written a blog today because I haven't written a blog for ages, and in fact the last blog I wrote I didn't write because I got my niece to write it. I also ask my clients sometimes to write posts for me because I think it's really nice to find out what they do as well. So you'll see that I've got some people who I've made websites for telling me about their business. So if you'd like me to pop you on, please do let me know. So I hope all these top tips help, and obviously if you feel the need to ask me to do these things for you, I'm more than happy to do them for you at my usual hourly rate. But do give it a go, because it's always very good to be able to manage your own website, and that was why I started this business in the first place. Thanks guys, enjoy the sunshine.